Now, it's time for Tensions Running High, a Penrith Panthers podcast presented by the Western Weekender. Thanks to Penrith Toyota, here's Troy Dodds and Nathan Taylor.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tensions Running High, a Penrith Panthers podcast presented by the Western Weekender. This is episode 58. A big thanks to our sponsor Penrith Toyota, the highest quality on new and used cars. Visit penrithtoyota.com.au. I'm Troy Dodds, joined by Nathan Taylor. Hello Nathan.
Hello Troy.
On this podcast, we talk everything Penrith Panthers, and we are well placed to do it. For more than 30 years, the Weekender has bled Penrith, and we've been there for all 6 premierships, and the odd wooden spoon as well. On the agenda today, we pay tribute to John Farragher following his passing at 68. A star of the future re-signs, and let's get serious about Nathan Cleary's future. But let's get underway. Nathan, some sad news, obviously, over the weekend with the passing of John Farragher.
Yeah, of course, Troy. It was quite sad. Obviously, we mentioned on last week's show that John was in hospital and he wasn't doing well, and unfortunately he wasn't able to recover from the cardiac arrest that he suffered the other week. And devastating news. I think a lot of people were quite shocked when the news broke on Sunday night that John wasn't with us anymore. And we obviously were quite close with John over the years, Troy, and that one really hurt.
Yeah, look, born in Gilgandra, of course, and we all know the story, but I think one thing that surprised a lot of people this week was that John had only played 7 games. A lot of people said to me, I couldn't believe it was only his 7th game. Of course, it was 1978, his debut for Penrith that season, and of course his dream coming true playing for Penrith, but that dream would turn into a nightmare. If you don't know the story, round 10 against Newtown at Henson Park, scrum collapsed. There's vision of the game that's available out there. All the players sort of dissipate after the scrum collapses, but John Farragher stays on the ground. He explained afterwards that he didn't feel any pain, that it was like a battery draining is how he felt. Obviously, he was left a quadriplegic, but I think what happened afterwards is obviously one of the great inspiring stories of rugby league, because John very easily, I guess, could have given up on life a little bit given what he was handed. He was 21 years old at the time, and he just turned 21. Told that he may never have kids, which he did end up having, of course, a son, and recently became a grandfather as well. But of course, he went through a couple of years of rehabilitation. Then in 1982, at Panthers Leagues Club, he takes on a role that he had for 40 years. And I think that's where most people would have known him as a front-of-house greeter, essentially, at the Leagues Club. Yeah,
well, it's certainly where I first came to know John as a kid, visiting the club with my parents and grandparents for dinner or lunch or a movie or whatever they were having at Panthers at the time. Even up until this year, obviously, spoke with John on a weekly basis, getting his footy tips for the paper. Yes. And he would often, recall stories of like my grandparents visiting, and he'll ask me about my nana or my father who did some work at the club, or he was very close to my uncle as well. And I just couldn't believe that this guy who had met thousands and thousands and thousands of people still remembered some family members who probably haven't visited there in a very long time. And I end up ringing those family members going, can you believe like John Farragher still remembers you after all those years? So he must have had a great memory, John. But like I said, he just met so many people, and a lot of people would have met John through visiting the club.
Panthers made a commitment to look after John in the wake of the accident, but I wrote in a piece this week, I think it actually became that John looked after Panthers, because you could have argued that it was almost like a token appointment or something like that he was going to have this role. But in the end, it became one of the most critical roles. I think if John wasn't around, so much of the messaging that members had, what members are feeling, just don't get to the higher management. Yeah. John was the funnel of all that information, but it was just a point of difference at Panthers, just a welcoming face, and he could talk, John. He was happy to chat with anyone about anything and everything. You mentioned, of course, talking to him to get the tips every Wednesday. Yeah. You took over that role from me. And let me tell you, it was always funny. He knew he had to do this every single week, but he'd always open the phone conversation with, I don't even have a paper, because he wanted to have a look at the team lists, and I'd have to sometimes go the ins and outs.
He was still doing that, because I didn't know he did that with you, Troy. So when I read your tribute piece, I'm like, oh, wow, like he still did that. Like he had to go through all the sometimes he'd want to know the teams, not for every game. Some games he was more confident in, but the ones that he was sort of 50-50 on, you had to really, who were the odds, what were the odds on them? And then there'll be times where like, I would get a random phone call on like a Saturday night and he'd be like, Nathan, who did we tip for this game? And I'd be at the movies or something. I'm like, oh no, I better answer. I'd always answer his call. But yeah, he took it very seriously. And we have, as you know, Troy, people that are listening, we have a double page spread in the paper every week. And he was always on that second page throughout the entire year. And it was our goal that by the end of the season, we wanted to get him on that first page. And I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact that on that very last week, he made it on that first page. He was right. I think he was the last one, but I got him on that first page, and he knew that he finally made it on there. But yeah, that was his goal, and he obviously tipped on behalf of someone in the paper, and but he did take that very seriously.
I was going to say, if you're thinking, hang on, I haven't seen John Farragher in the weekend of celebrity tipsing, if you're that deep into it, yes, he was someone's proxy. Yes. We won't reveal who that was, but a prominent business person in Penrith who's been in our tipping competition for a long time said, you know what, I'll be in it, but I want John to do my tips, and he's done it for probably 7 or 8 years.
Wow, okay.
He did that. Now, of course, in 2022 he was elected to the club's board, and that was an extraordinary situation because that resulted in Dave O'Neill, who of course had brought back Ivan Cleary. Panthers in a great position, just won the premiership, just come out of COVID, and somehow Dave O'Neill, the chairman, gets dumped. That had nothing to do with John per se. It was just that there was an election. I think Dave was last on the ticket.
Yeah,
there was no way John wasn't going to get elected. He's like Greg Alexander in terms of if his name's on that ticket, members are going to vote for him. And he probably on that board, not that I sit in the boardroom, but I'm guessing he was a fierce advocate for members because they're the people he spoke to every day.
Yeah, that's right. But he was obviously a huge part of everyone's lives. And the last time I saw him a couple of times in the last 2 months or so, I think the last time I saw him was at the Merv Cartwright Medal, where he presented Tom Jenkins with the award. But I actually saw him a couple of weeks prior to that, or about 3 weeks prior to that. I had to drop off some movie tickets because he tipped a full round in the tipping comp, and I dropped them around to him. I think he was going to give them to Jake, his son, actually, to go see a movie. And he was at the club, and he was on the gaming floor. He was playing the pokies, and he was having a great time. And he's like, "Oh, Nathan, do you want to help me?" And I'm like, okay, on my lunch break, I said John, but I'm sure Troy won't mind. So I'll have that memory of me and him having a hit each, and and he even asked me, he's like, I've got my big award coming up. Who do you think should go give it? And obviously we gave our opinions, and I actually did suggest, Thomas Jenkins was a worthy recipient. And he goes, okay, well, I've got a few people in mind, but thank you for your opinion. And a couple of weeks later, Tom gets the award. So he was, he always respected our rugby league knowledge. Troy, I'm sure when you spoke to him, he probably liked to talk footy and just enjoyed even though you think he would know so much and he's part of so many big conversations, he was happy to listen to people like us, just local guys in the media, I guess. So,
and he certainly took that job of the John Farragher Award for Courage and Determination very seriously. He was there every year to present it, and he put a lot of thought into it. There was no one who told him this is who you should pick or whatever else. It was his award to pick. Yeah, and he's picked some great people over the years. And gee, that'll be an emotional one next year when it's presented to someone. It'll obviously remain in John's name. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the funeral and whatnot, and I saw a lot of people say, this will be a huge funeral in Penrith and whatnot. As it turns out, it's John's wishes that funeral be held in Gilgandra, so that will happen later this month. But just word through in the last few hours, we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon on Melbourne Cup Day, just getting through our chicken wings from the great people at Wing Boy. The Panthers are going to hold a public memorial on the 27th of November. Now, originally they were thinking that was going to be in the Evan Theatre. It's now going to be in the Western Sydney Conference Centre. I think they've realised that will have a massive turnout.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It will obviously be a huge funeral service in Gilgandra as well, but Penrith will have their opportunity to pay tribute to John at that memorial service on the 27th of November. That will be massive.
That will be huge. And I was saying to someone else, if the stadium was available, I'm pretty sure they probably would have held it at the stadium. But the Pullman is obviously a very good venue, and obviously the last place a lot of people would have saw John, in public was there on Merv Cartwright Medal Night. So it's fitting way to send him off, I'm sure.
Yeah, so we pay our respects to John. He will be deeply missed. I know that it will be one of the bigger stories on our website this year in terms of views, because I think it just shocked a lot of people. I think there was people were aware in the inner circle, but it hadn't been widely publicised that John was in hospital and was getting the best treatment as possible. But gee, it's been a tough couple of weeks in Penrith with some passings. Of course, the legendary counsellor Kevin Crameri, but we also had Cliff Cartwright, of course, pass away last week as well. So it's a tough year. Yeah, it hasn't been
a good period at all for some people that we've known our a lot of our lives, all our working lives. Just people that just synonymous with Penrith. So hopefully that's the end of it, Troy.
Well, let's hope so. Yeah, but I mean, it is extraordinary, I guess, these people that you meet, and for us who've been doing this a long time here in Penrith, like you meet these people when they're 10 or 15 years younger, and they appear quite in their prime. I always think about, sometimes when I meet someone, I'm like, how old were they when I met them? Yeah. And you sometimes go, geez, they were only 45, or they were only 50. You start to go, well, geez, that's, I'm not far off that. Yeah. And they, you obviously see them age as you enter sort of that period 10 or 15 years earlier. And with John, I think we all first saw a pretty, a younger, obviously healthier looking John, because he obviously aged over the years as you do, but you just sort of don't realise it as you're seeing him each time.
Yeah, we probably would have met John when he was in his 30s, I dare say. For the first time when we were kids visiting the club. I imagine that's probably when you first recognised him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is the thing. The vast majority of people who knew John Farragher never saw him play. Never saw.
They didn't have pay TV back then, so unless you're at the game,
unless you were one of the 4,000 people there that day, or you've seen the footage afterwards, or you happened to see one of the games that he played before that, the 6 games he played before that, then you wouldn't have known.
I didn't realise that that Gus was captain of that team that day.
Yeah, Phil Gould was captain that day. Penrith won the game, but geez, I tell you what, they wouldn't have remembered much about the scoreline, because that was the focus, obviously. And it's look, we obviously saw it happen again in rugby league with Alex McKinnon in a completely different scenario, so many decades later. But it's a reminder that it does happen. It's a freakish moment. John always put it down to a freakish accident, just a split moment sort of thing that happened. But I tell you what, he made the most out of what was a pretty crappy lot in life he was given as a result of that. He made the most out of that life. Like he would have had some challenges behind the scenes, but he was he always appeared happy, he always presented happy, he was always up for a laugh. And Panthers just became such an important part of his life. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was never well, to us or to anyone I know, he was never grumpy. He was always happy and always, as you said, willing to chat to everybody. So
yeah, and never let the fact that that he was in the wheelchair and he had to rely on other people stop him from going to country games and wherever else. Like he was always there. He was always outside the old Chairman's Lounge as well, up at Penrith Stadium. So we will miss John, and more details, of course, I'm sure, of that that memorial will be revealed before the event on November 27. Now there is I guess a little admin side to all of this, because John was a sitting director at Panthers, and that obviously creates a vacancy on the board. So I've done some digging today, so I can reveal what's going to happen here is that Belinda Leonard was a what they call an independent community board appointment. I'm sure that's not the official term, but basically where the board appoints someone. So Bell never went to an election. There's a couple of positions that are available for the board to basically appoint someone who they feel is going to provide benefit to the board. Now, Bell was one of those. She will now immediately move in to John Farragher's spot, which is an elected spot, which means that she will now face election in February. She originally wasn't going to be facing election in February. So the reason for that is Panthers want to take a full elected, group to the board elections in February. Because if they didn't do that, it kind of creates, if you wanted just to retain the existing board, well, that is not possible, because obviously there would be that vacant spot, so that would have someone come in, and it could be someone literally, if we don't know yet if there's going to be other people vying for the board, but you could have had someone just randomly pop up and they're straight in, because of the situation. So that's how they're going to work it.
Okay.
So They'll obviously retain her position if members decide to retain the current board. That will then create a spare spot for a new community person to be appointed. So, whatever happens, even if the current board does get re-elected in February, we will see a new community member then appointed to the board next year. But of course, a lot of water to go under the bridge. We could have more people, and we could have an actual board election with plenty of people vying for a spot. So, but that is the admin of it all. It's sometimes a bit feels a bit weird to be talking about sort of that stuff, but that becomes part of it when you are a sitting director.
I do, before you finish up on this segment, I do think they need to do in the future something for John, I guess, as a memorial memento thing. Yep. Like some people have suggested, a statue or a plaque, or renaming the sign-in desk, the John Farragher sign-in desk, or something like that. Yeah. Like,
that's a good idea.
There's a lot of memorials around the club, a lot of rooms named after certain people there. Ron Mulock's got a room up there. There's a few rooms, but there should be. I'm sure there will be. There has to be. There's something named after the John Farragher for sure.
Yeah, maybe the foyer. They can call it the John Farragher, whatever they call it. I actually look. It's a separate thing. I actually think hopefully new CEO Andrew Hill maybe could do this. I think there does need to be a review of all of that in the club at the moment. I know that it'll send some shivers down some people at Panthers spines, but the fact that there is no acknowledgement of Roger Cowan, the longest
at all
serving
anywhere in the club,
oh,
right,
the longest serving CEO in the club's history, the visionary behind the Mulgoa Road site, but there to be no recognition doesn't sit well with me. If you've got rooms named after Ron Mulock, obviously a great patron of the club, but there's so many rooms and areas. I think we could do something there to.
And do you think that's something as an oversight, or it's just?
I think it all happened probably. All this stuff was probably not done that frequently in Roger Cowan's era. Obviously, his time at the club ended in some level of controversy. We obviously had the Temby inquiry, which of course was cleared of any wrongdoing. But just in general, his last few years were too shaky, and that led to a period of instability for Panthers. And I think that it was probably just the last thing on people's minds. But you've got to do it. It's a bit. We can't be going forward naming different rooms, and we've talked about things at stadiums and whatnot, and we've got that one just not being mentioned. But,
good call.
We'll work on that. All right, well, back to the footy. And Nathan, I keep reading in other media outlets, the player drain is on at Panthers.
It's a crisis.
It's a crisis. Now, the truth is not quite that, because at the end of the day, you can only have a top 30 squad next year, and you can't stop youngsters looking for opportunities elsewhere. And I assure you that Matt Cameron does not have his feet up somewhere in Bali. No one is leaving Panthers that they want to keep. And we saw some evidence of that this week, because Jaxen Edgar re-signed. Now, he is the heir apparent, of course, to Dylan Edwards.
He certainly is, and we got a very, very small glimpse of him last year in the game against the Bulldogs, where he came onto the field after there was 3 HIAs, and that was how he had his debut game, which is obviously very unusual circumstances, but that was Jaxen Edgar's, and he's been on Penrith's radar for many, many years now. He's risen the ranks. He's a St. Dom's boy. He lives in South Penrith, and he's just Penrith through and through, and he actually re-signed earlier this week for until the end of 2028.
Which is coincidentally when Dylan Edwards is signed to as well. But let me ask you this. Cast your mind forward. The 2028 season kicks off here at Penrith Stadium. We're sitting in the Western Stand getting wet. Round 1.
Getting well, I like that.
Who is the fullback, do you think? If forget... I know there's a lot of water.
Dill and Jaxen are still contracted to the club.
Well, they're still here until the end of 2028.
That's a very good question, Troy. That means we've still got another 2 years of Dylan Edwards, and then look, it's entirely possible that Jaxen Edgar could have that spot by then, or there is some sort of or Edgar is on a wing or something like that in preparation to take over Dylan. But I don't know. What do you think? That's a very hard question.
I will throw out there, and I have Dylan Edwards is one of my absolute favourite players. I think those critical of him just don't understand the extra work. Like, if you go to a game and watch Dylan for 10 or 15 minutes. But I just have this feeling that he's probably going to slow up a little bit in the next couple of years, and he's not the fastest fullback in the game already. And I just, like, he's going to age, he's in injuries. I have a feeling that come 2027, we're talking about Panthers making some moves. We're about potentially Dylan going early. And I just have this feeling that Jaxen Edgar is the Panthers' first choice fullback in 2028.
It's entirely possible, and I think that's what Penrith are probably hoping for. Not for Dylan to go early, but for him to be the heir apparent. I just checked out Dylan's age. He'll be 30 in January, Troy.
Yeah. So think about that. Right, this is your classic rugby league story. He's 32 when we're having this conversation at the end of 2027. Panthers are telling him, hey, we're not going to re-sign you beyond 2028. He'll find a 2 or 3 year deal somewhere else.
Yep.
That extends his career. Like, I see that planning out that way. I would love Dylan Edwards to be at Penrith forever, but I just feel like there's going to be some tough things happen in the next few years for Panthers fans to deal with, because you might have won 4 premierships, you might win another premiership, but it doesn't stop your body aging, and it doesn't stop young people who might be better than you in that moment coming through.
Yeah, and we're already seeing, like, on the big stage, obviously Reece Walsh taking over Dylan's kangaroo spot over in the UK there. Like, who knows whether we'll find out tonight whether Dylan's going to be in the team for this week or he just remains the MU. So yeah, like, we're already seeing that. You can only imagine next year's State of Origin series. Like, I can't see him being picked. No. I'd say someone else probably steps up at some point there too. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of guys that are off contract even earlier. At the end of the 27. So you're saying Dylan's there in 28, definitely according to his contract. We've got guys like Yo, Cleary. I'm not sure when Martin's off. Yeah,
2027 is this, like, pocket of Brian To'o, like this pocket of players that are
they're going to lose a couple of those, you'd imagine.
Yeah. Coach Ivan Cleary also.
Like, a lot's going to change. It's going to be hard for Penrith fans to cope, because they're the most beloved players we've ever had.
Well, yes, I agree. This probably leads us into the next discussion point, which is it's time to get serious here, because we are now on the countdown, Nathan. 361 odd days to go before Nathan Cleary is on the NRL open market. Because from November 1 next year, Nathan Cleary can choose to go to another club if he wants to. None of us pretend that conversations aren't had before then, but in theory, November 1 next year. The club would re-sign Nathan and Ivan tomorrow. So something is happening behind the scenes to stop that. And maybe legitimately Nathan is like, well, look, I just, I've got 2 years. I'm happy to focus on the next 2 years and sort out my life then, because, we all saw the photos on the weekend. Nathan and Mary still going strong. Who knows where their relationship is in 2 years. I wonder inside Nathan's head at the moment what he's thinking, because part of it must be, well, I may not be at Penrith. This may be it. This next 2 years may be it. And I think now, I've said for probably the last 6 months, this will be the biggest story of next year. It's edging towards that happening, because questions will start to be asked by the mainstream media as to why he hasn't re-signed. Yeah,
definitely. And I think we're all a bit nervous as to what he's going to do. And, of course, every Penrith fan on the planet and everyone at the club wants Nathan Cleary to stay. And I don't think it's a case of him going to another NRL club by any means. I don't think that he's just going to not sign with Penrith and go to the Roosters.
So you don't think Papua New Guinea is an option?
No. Okay. I think... Well, what's the difference between Papua New Guinea and Penrith? Obviously, there's a lot of difference, but, like, I feel like if there's only a reason for him to move is because of his relationship, and then that's, that could see him go overseas and maybe go to Super League or try a different sport out. I'm not sure what he's thinking. But if he does stay, and what's to say that he won't just sign another year extension or another 2-year extension? He doesn't have to sign 5 years.
No, he doesn't.
He could just extend for another year and see what happens the year after, and just if that's what he wants to do. There's no reason to have to sign them for life and be there forever, and he's trapped.
No, that's 100%. That's 100% right. But look, certainly from a coaching perspective, I think by this time next year, Panthers will want to know where Ivan's sitting, because you can't build your 2028 squad
and not know about the coach.
The interesting thing, I always thought it was curious, and I'm not suggesting that Jack Cogger will never be really Penrith's first choice number 1, but number 7. But the 3-year signing does open up the door as an emergency, pull in case of emergency situation, that if Nathan goes at the end of 2027, you do have an experienced halfback to guide the team around that year if you needed to. in 2028 if there was a gap year between Penrith then going to market and chasing someone.
Well, we could set the cat amongst the pigeons. What about Jerome Luai 2028?
Yeah, well, maybe.
If
they don't get rid of that clause at the Tigers, like there's going to be
Penrith are going to lose Nathan Cleary, then that's the perfect guy to welcome home. You know, I think Penrith fans would actually feel a little bit relieved if that was the case. And Jerome and Blaise Talangi are your halves partners, I guess. They're doing it with Samoa at the moment, so it's not that far fetched. And he's obviously off. He'll be off contract then to make that reunion.
Look, I assure you, in the back offices there at Panthers, they would have a contingency. I think by now, my opinion is that they would have a contingency if Nathan doesn't re-sign, because it would be red alert for Nathan. Like it's just like if you're running any business. If I'm running the Western Weekender here, and there's a staff member with a partner overseas whose career is really going to be overseas for the next 5 or 6 years, I'm sitting here thinking, well, I don't know if I've got this person in the long term, you know, and it's the exact same thing. And I'm in the back of my head, I'm going, well, what's my backup plan? So,
but geez, Jack Cogger surely isn't here. As much as
I just find the 3 years curious.
Well, maybe it's
almost like let's just make sure that third year there is at least someone there that it wouldn't be chaos.
But maybe they just didn't want to have to keep looking for a backup half every year like they've had to do the last few years. Every time they sign a half, it's for a season or two, and they just don't want to have to go through that potentially. And that's probably maybe helped Jack get him across the line to come back to Penrith, was offering that third year. But
I know also, I think I've said it before, that there is some, you know, Ivan obviously is you know, he takes some importance in making sure, I think probably because of the Phil Gould experience, but also probably what he experienced at other clubs too. Ivan wants to make sure the leadership at Panthers is strong. So obviously there's been one box ticked with Andrew Hill being appointed as the CEO to replace Brian Fletcher. I think he'll want to know what this board looks like in February before he makes any decisions. In saying that, there'll be another board election, you know, before the 2028 season when his contract was up. But I think he just want to know, like, who's the chairman? What's the board look like moving forward? Because
does that mean a lot to a coach, though?
I think in Ivan's case, he has achieved so much and done so much now that he would not stick around with internal drama happening in the background. So he wants to be certain that he continues to run the show as he sees fit, and that the status quo in general remains, where Panthers has been a really solid situation. Look, I think there's going to be a lot of change, and I think you said it earlier, like these are the players that we've become endeared to, but you know, you often don't become too endeared to a CEO, but Matt Cameron may well move on at some point. Like he's not a Penrith guy. Like, you know, he's an outsider who came in and we've now seen probably one of the best CEOs in the game, but he could well move on. We've seen Brian Fletcher move on. Like the era is moving quickly. Yeah,
and just thankfully we got plenty out of that era, and I guess hope that's what we'll have to look back on. I guess everyone has to move on. Everyone's going to retire at some point, and I don't know what Ivan Cleary's succession plan is. If he's not there, I'm not sure if there are some young coaches at Penrith coming through, or whether they would.
It'll be really intriguing. So if Ivan Cleary said I'm out at the end of 2027. It would be really intriguing if they go for one of his assistants, for example, or they actually
would go out,
go and find
look
someone
around. I think they would, and they're powerful enough now to probably get nearly anyone they wanted and pry them out of somewhere else and get them. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, there you go. We'll see what unfolds there. Hey, the Western Weekender's new app has launched. You would have seen some great new offers pop up this week, Nathan. You'll be over
it's every week there's a new offer popping up.
There is. You can get cheap beer. You can get cheap services at Stina there at the wellness
Reset.
Spa. Yeah, Reset. 10% off on a Wednesday night. Your bill.
Not bad.
At Theo's. Free gym trials if you're looking to get into shape for summer. There's a 10-day free gym trial there. Free Pilates class. Wow. If you want to give that a go, you just hit the offers tab. A new way to read the paper, plus local news at your fingertips, breaking news alerts to your phone, and so much more. Download the Western Weekender app on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store now. All right, now we've seen a bit of activity behind the scenes in the last couple of weeks with the 60th anniversary logo revealed. Now, I probably haven't had a look at much of the response out there. But as far as I know, we're safe. We're not the Bulldogs with their new logo. Everyone's pretty happy with this. This will be a one-off, one-season logo to celebrate 60 seasons.
Yeah. Look, it got released last Thursday evening, sort of early evening. I think I was at an appointment actually, and my watch was buzzing with excitement from everyone. Look, it's the logo. When I first saw it, I wasn't quite sure about it. I'm like, oh, that's a little bit different. But since in the week that's passed, it's grown on me. I've actually seen it in the flesh, Troy. I went to the merchandise store on the weekend.
Yeah, we'll talk about them.
And actually, the New Jersey range, and actually have the jerseys with the new patch on it, and it's not a printed on patch. It's not it's a really cool patch. It's actually a bit of a plasticky, rubbery feel when you touch it, which I've never seen on a sporting jersey before. It's really good quality. Obviously, it's
I'll just tell you the official term, Nathan. A metallic silicon 60th crest.
Okay,
there you go.
And that's it. And obviously the NRL logo as well is made of the same material.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if all clubs are going down this path with their logos.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like the material that it's made from. But really cool. Obviously, throwback to 1967, that first year. They're trying to incorporate all sorts of different parts into that logo.
Yep.
2003 crest as well is sort of incorporated,
yes,
around
I like how they did put out this full explainer, almost like, hey, if anyone has a go at us,
this is how we did it.
How we came up with it, But
and then on some of the other merch, obviously they've used the double P's that was in one of
the original.
Yeah, the original for Penrith Panthers. Yep. So they do think about a lot of these things in the design and the creation, and I think they got it right. Yeah, it has grown on me, that grey silvery tone.
Yeah, look, I like it, and I think that even if you don't like it, it's here for a year. It's a one-off logo. There was some people that were talking to me about, they're going to change the Panthers. They're going to use this opportunity to change the Panther, and the current Panther is the right Panther.
Yeah, that's
we might in a future episode in the next couple of weeks go back to the logo, talk about the story about the logo that never was.
Yeah,
that did actually get out there.
Yeah,
but was never actually Panthers logo ever.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
We'll talk about that. Now that's part of. There's going to be a lot of 60th anniversary celebrations next year. I'm told the season launch will be a sit-down dinner. That'll be the 60th anniversary official dinner, and I think we may even see some the Hall of Fame dusted off. Good. I think Peter Graham has approved the cleaners to go in there, find the Hall of Fame book, which is hidden somewhere, and actually put more than 4 people in it.
Yeah,
so
we've been waiting 10 years for that to happen.
We have.
A lot more merch to come too. Obviously, we've only seen the 2 jerseys so far.
Yes. Now, there's actually some that's dropped as well. So let's go have a look at these jerseys. Now, one thing that I guess got revealed as a result of the home jersey was that Picklebet has now taken up the spot on the
and Oak had been there
back
for a very long time.
So this is the first time we haven't seen Oak on a Penrith jersey in, I'd say, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So. I think Oak might be doing something with the foundation, so some charity stuff. But Oak is essentially phased out over the last couple of years. So Picklebet now has that spot sort of on the top.
And they've changed that back part of the jersey for nearly every year. I think the KFC was 1 year for a jersey, then they went to Oak again.
Yeah. And even the My Place has changed this year because it's now My Place IQ.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
Well, I think that might be a better explainer to what My Place actually is, because My Place is like intelligent air conditioning, and maybe they thought that it's no different to when we went from Oak to Oak Plus.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so what we know so far is what, Nathan? The no big surprise on the official home jersey.
Home jerseys
and the pink is still sitting there as our away jersey. But we don't have an alternate.
No. Well, last year's alternate was obviously the Vegas jersey, which we wore twice. So I don't think that's going to be back this year. I think they might do something special for the 60th anniversary. Potentially, there might be a special, maybe a throwback jumper dedicated to one of the eras of the past. There is a nice blue number you may have noticed.
I saw that.
I think it's like a
coach's training team. So we're going to see Ivan in this blue sort of aquary number.
Yeah, it's actually quite nice in real life.
Yeah, and then there's a pink sort of men's training, normal training shirt as well.
Yeah.
So
gone are those 97, 98 Super League style jerseys. They've disappeared for the training shirts, which is probably good.
Yes, I agree with that. I saw some polos have landed now as well. So there's some 60th anniversary polos there. And some new accessories. You know, I love a accessory.
Oh, yeah. What have they come up with?
Well, they've got some key rings, some logo pins, things like that that have the specific 60th anniversary.
Okay.
The rest of it's not so specific to the 60th, but some things I noticed that...
well, that'll be actually some good stuff to maybe get as a memento. It's a little bit different. It's not often your club celebrates 60 years. So.
Yes, I probably will get some of that stuff. I did notice they now have the full bedding range. So you can get king.
Bedding?
King, there it is.
There you go.
King, queen, single, or just a pillowcase there. I think you can just a double as well. So there's the single. So you can put your whole house, your whole family.
Oh, dear. There is probably someone out there that has that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, if I could get away with it, I probably would. So anyway, is to be the case. You get a Santa hat. A lot of stuff happening. But of course, we'll have the... It'll be interesting to see when the member packs are revealed. Because it'll be the classic thing now where you get a credit and you're choosing your items. But I wonder if they'll have specific 60th anniversary items.
I hope so.
Available.
I hope so, because they should really lean into this milestone year. I think I can't remember what they did for 50. Obviously, a lot has. Oh,
you definitely got
changed.
specific. There was definitely a 50th key ring.
Key ring, yeah.
I don't know about other stuff, but look. We'll talk, hopefully before we finish up for the year, the membership pack options will be there, because we'll talk about that, because that's been a bone of contention for a couple of years.
I wonder when that's going to happen, because usually it should have been by now. Like, you should be able to get your stuff before Christmas. I know they were always panicking about getting your membership packs in time before Christmas, but there's been no, and if these things are coming from China or wherever they come from, like, you'd think you'd have picked something out by now. Is it coming? Yeah. Are they doing that this year?
Well, no, they are. It says it in the pack. It says that you're getting that. Yeah. And your sum, I think you pay monthly.
Yes, I do.
Now
proudly.
Yeah, no. So you still pick at the start, right?
Yeah.
You're still picking all your stuff now.
Yeah.
They're not holding anything back from a.
No, I even got my free membership at the club the other day. My club membership, for, it's $5, but I made sure that I'm pretty sure I get this for free. And they're like, oh yeah, let me check.
Yep, I think they're always a bit rattled, confused by that.
They are.
I don't know
I had
why
to show them
the
numerous emails. They're like, well, it doesn't say anywhere here that you've signed up for this. I'm like, you're taking money out of my account. I'm showing you the emails saying payment received. Yeah.
It's a very weird thing that.
I don't think many people probably utilize that little.
No, well, I think because you might, and what happens to me? I'll have to ask someone. I signed a 3-year deal with Panthers League's club, so my
congratulations.
My membership doesn't expire until 2027. Saying I come off contract at the same time as Nathan and Ivan, and
you ready to go to the Chiefs?
So, how does it work if because I've already paid for it?
Well, you don't get that.
No, I reckon. You know what I reckon?
What?
I might be wrong. I reckon they'll give you $5.
You can get credit on your Panther card.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I get a Pepsi Max or something.
Well, that's another little quirk that we probably don't know about.
Yeah, because I'll find that out. I'll have an answer for you next week.
Okay.
Someone at Panthers will know.
How high up the chain are you going to go for this? Because you got some big names in your phone.
I think
Who are you going to bother?
I'm going to bother Darren Micallef on that. I'm going to bother Darren on that. I think that's and this will prove if he's listening. Because you can email me first, Darren. Let me know.
Okay, this will be good. All right.
There you go. All right, well, yep. So we've got the test on this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to get up to watch number 3. I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, look, they haven't been great, have they? They've been a bit lackluster.
I got up. I was disappointed to miss the anthem because I would have seen the Jarvis.
I followed him on Facebook now. It seems great fun.
I love that. Cameron Munster is like, who is this guy?
He was the perfect person.
But then he was also he said afterwards, he was like, I thought maybe he was a corporate sponsor or something.
Yeah, Imagine that. Part of your sponsorship, you get to stand at the anthem in your full kit too.
Yeah, bizarre. But yeah, look, I don't know, the first half goes quick for me when I wake up. That second half, but it's now hitting 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, game 3 there's nothing to play for really. So what are they gonna do?
Yeah, I think it's been It's funny, the games haven't been great, but it feels like the tour has been quite a success. There's been some great publicity out of it, some great stories out of it.
Yeah, that part's been great. They've had Bon Jovi, involved a couple of weeks ago, and they've been getting a lot of public transport system over there in England. But the games have been rough. But obviously Pacific Championships as well, final on Sunday at our home Combank Stadium.
Yes, I haven't been watching much of those games.
I've been tuning in here and there, but not glued.
Yeah, no. And I saw in one of the women's games, someone won 166-0.
Really?
Yes, I think it might have been Papua New Guinea beat someone.
No, not really.
I think so. I don't know. They played someone.
Right. 100 no, that would be a world record.
World record? I'm trying to find out for you.
But don't forget, we've got South Africa, Cook Islands too, and 9 are showing that, actually. I don't know who's going to call that game.
No. Well, when's that on?
On Sunday is the curtain raiser to obviously Kiwis versus Samoa. I'm going for Samoa, in case anyone wants to know.
I mean, Papua New Guinea beat Tonga 42-6. I don't know where I'm getting 166 from. So I'm sure I saw it somewhere. Someone can help me out. Send that. A lot of preparation.
Maybe it was like rugby union or something.
Yeah, maybe. I really want to know now who won 166-0, but all Google wants to do is do the math. 166 minus 0. But no, nothing. So I don't know.
I can't help you. No.
Might have been the cricket. Might have been none for 166.
It was probably something like that, because that would be incredible. That would make world news.
It probably would. All right. Well, look, that is pretty much it from us. Nathan, we're going to keep coming doing this for a few more weeks.
Yep. I'm off to the Gold Coast tomorrow, Troy.
Yeah, tell us about this, because you're going for a major sporting event.
Yes, I am, Troy. The Titans are not playing this time round. I'm going to watch the cricket, Australia versus India. It's a T20 international game. My first ever major cricket game. I've gone to a Sydney Thunder game before, but never seen the Aussies play, or any country for that matter. So going up there as part of a Famil for Experience Gold Coast, and they're trying to promote how great the Gold Coast is, not just for theme parks and beaches and fun things like that to do, but you can also watch the sport there, and they've got a fair few sporting games and competitions coming to the Goldie in the next few months, and I'll be testing it all out and letting you all know about it next week.
Now, also, you've been issued an official warning. I believe to not approach any of the Indians.
Yeah, so apparently, I don't know if it's the Indians or the Aussies, but T20 players are staying in the exact same hotel that they're putting me up in, and they sent me a very strict email yesterday saying, just to let you know that they are not to be approached in a professional or personal capacity by any means, and to leave them alone because they've got to prepare for their big game on Thursday night.
So they thought you might be just waiting there in the foyer just to pop out and be like, hey, and ask some big questions.
Or get my autograph signed. I'm like, is this like a blanket rule for everyone staying at this major hotel? Are they telling all the other hotel guests to not bother the Indians or the Aussies? I have no idea, but I politely said, I'll keep my boundaries, and I'll put my autograph book away and spend some time at the beach or something instead, so they don't have to worry.
All right. Well, next week we're going to have a full review of your Gold Coast trip.
I'm going up alone, Troy. So
yeah, okay.
I've got an itinerary full of fun activities.
You might come back with a slice of the Titans. It appears everyone's in at the moment.
Yeah, well,
like Gordon Tallis, even Headley Thomas, the journalist, is in.
Yep. Look, if I can't put much in, maybe a couple of grand, I might be able to get a tiny slice.
Yeah.
But
everyone's in on the Titans. All right, well, that is it for Tensions Running High this week. We do want to give a big plug for Wing Boy. We had Wing Boy as our Melbourne Cup lunch here in the office. Very, very good. So we love the people from Wing Boy. Back with another episode next week. Visit westernweekender.com.au. Follow us on all the socials. Check out our print edition. It's out every Thursday. I'm Troy Dodds. Nathan, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Troy.
Thanks to Penrith Toyota for their sponsorship as well. Whether you are a 67er, a Brandy and Royce convert, a Gerds guy or girl, or you're on the bandwagon for the first time, we are all in this together. Let's go Panthers. We'll see you next week.